Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Nextlander podcast. I give thanks to everybody for joining us in this here lead up to the United States Thanksgiving. America Thanksgiving is happening. I'm sure there are similar Thanksgiving-ish things in other countries. I don't know.
Well, there is at least in Canada.
The Canadian Thanksgiving has come and gone.
Happy
Yes.
Canadian Thanksgiving, belated Canadian Thanksgiving. You really can't combine Canada
No, you can't.
Thanksgiving.
It doesn't work.
I thought we were about to talk about Connecticut Thanksgiving.
Connecticut Thanksgiving is a special holiday. Alex Navarro, have you ever been to Connecticut?
Does driving through it repeatedly and also being on Amtrak repeatedly when the train has passed through Connecticut count?
Have you set foot in Connecticut?
I've eaten at a diner a couple of times in Connecticut because it's on the way to PAX East.
That counts.
Is
All right.
Connecticut New England?
Yes.
Oh boy.
Is New York New England?
No.
Really?
I
No.
disagree.
Where does Connecticut?
We've
fit
done
into-
we've done this. Tri-state
I feel like we've done some version of this
Yeah,
conversation before, but the basic gist is at the Vermont-Connecticut line, that is where New England ends.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. I just trying to think of a label to lump all of you under because I wanted to. Let's just say the Northeast.
We're the Northeast. We're the tri-state
Northeast.
area.
Yeah.
The North.
Yeah.
I just don't. Where does Connecticut land on the pantheon of northeastern states?
Oh wow.
Okay. If we're ranking the total Northeast,
Oof. Well, we're gonna get some people.
this is very
excited
unfair
about this.
because I've only been to. There's at least one of these states I think I've never actually been to.
Okay, here we go.
No, I have actually. Now that I think about it, I have been to all of them.
What's your southernmost? Are we doing Mason-Dixon line for this? Like, how far are we going?
Is Delaware in there?
Yeah, like how far
Probably.
down are we going? This is
Okay, well, Delaware's your bottom.
Whoa,
That's establishing the
Damn.
floor right there.
that was definitive.
Dude, Delaware is a place you incorporate. It's not a place you live.
Okay, and are we going west until Pennsylvania, or is Pennsylvania included in the Northeast?
I think Pennsylvania is as far west as it goes.
Okay, all right, let's hear it.
All right, so Delaware is at your floor. Sorry, Delaware. I'm only putting Rhode Island under there just because I still don't think Rhode Island should actually be a state. I think by now, if the United States were a body, Massachusetts and Connecticut would have absorbed it by now.
Okay.
But they gave us Lincoln Chafee and the saga of 38 Studios.
That's true.
You're right, so it should actually be at the bottom. All right, so there's that. Again, this is just my rankings. I want to emphasize this right now. None of this is definitive.
Yeah. This is everybody's.
I'd probably put New Hampshire just a step above.
Okay.
They do have they have good arcades there, but then there's the whole live free or die thing, which is not as.
You have just tread on them.
And then I'd probably put. I don't know. I hold Maine and Connecticut in roughly similar esteem, despite the fact they are very different places. God, I'm going to get so many angry emails about this. I don't know. I thought Pennsylvania was all right. I think Maryland has some cool places.
Maryland's a very like.
I like
Maryland
Baltimore.
has a lot of different biomes. You know, if if Maryland were a video game, it would be pretty good because it has like a lot of different zones.
I think
I'm looking at a map right now.
It's dense.
Weirdly, that my sense of geography above the Mason-Dixon is almost non-existent.
Okay.
And everything below there, like the back of my hand.
Well, it's a lot harder up there. Everything is tiny and just the lines are a mess up there.
Why had I forgotten or ever knew that parts of Virginia are kind of latitudinally the same as New Jersey?
Dude, Northern Virginia should in fact be its own state, probably.
Like in my brain, New Jersey is like 1,000 miles north of Virginia.
Not
1,000, but like a lot.
Yeah.
And then looking at what?
New Jersey's also a weird one. Like it's got a weird situational spot. New Jersey also very different from north to south and east to
central
west.
For that matter.
Yeah. It's a weird one.
Go to the Pine Barrens sometime. It might as well be in a different country.
Like New York has a weird shape, and then Jersey kind of fits in there in a weird way.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, at this point, I feel like most of these states I hold in roughly similar esteem. I'm not going to say one is definitively.
Where's Jersey fall?
Jersey's like in the high middle.
High middle?
Yeah.
It's not okay. I thought you'd put.
It's not
New
like
York
top
number
2 or
one
3 for me, but it's like.
Whoa. Okay, what's your number one?
I mean, I really like New York.
New York's pretty great. Okay,
And I'm not just talking about New York City. I like various parts. I think Buffalo is a cool city. I've been to a bunch of places that are in various parts of New York. You know, I'm probably not going to go out of my way to go hang out in Binghamton, but like, there's plenty of places I can go where I like. But
maybe Rochester.
Sure.
So how about the New Jersey, New York, just combined? You know, like number 1 and 1B. How about that?
Sure, I can go with that.
We'll just tag, like the rest of the time, we'll just tag along with New York.
I liked my time in Boston. I don't rank Massachusetts super high on that list. It is definitely the most New England state, but it is not my favorite.
You're running out of states. What's your top 3?
I don't know. I really like Vermont.
Yeah, Vermont's right.
Vermont's really nice. I mean, Vermont and New Hampshire are kind of indistinguishable from each other, like geography-wise, but like very different cultures. And Pennsylvania ranks fairly high, mostly just because I like Philly and I like my Philly people. I like my Pittsburgh people too, actually.
Okay. Interesting.
See, we clearly have very different methodologies here, because I think I would have gone entirely on food.
Okay. I mean, New York is probably the best food city, one of the best food cities in America.
Well, that's not fair though. New York City
that's what I mean.
is a bubble.
Jersey's pretty good.
You gotta average across the whole state.
There's some real good food in Philly. I've had some very good meals in Philly. I've had some very good meals in New Jersey. Boston has amazing seafood. I'm not sure I loved a lot of the other food that I had there. Weirdly hard to get good pizza in Boston. I don't know why.
Huh.
I don't know if I've spent enough time in New Hampshire to say, like, cuisine wise. I don't probably know. Seafood, but I
think I've had a meal in New Hampshire, and I don't think that's enough of sample size.
I mean,
look, Maryland also has the seafood. They got those crabs. For as long as we still have crabs.
Maryland has crabs?
Maryland has crabs. They should see a doctor.
Okay,
I did it.
Moving on.
Yeah,
you finally, you came on the title of this podcast. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's great. That's the title of this podcast.
Charm City, baby.
It's either the title of this podcast or a Big Johnson t-shirt. Great. We've done it. Brad Shoemaker, are you doing all right over there?
I'm doing fairly well.
If you hear some hammering going on, some banging, it's an adjacent apartment. Big city living.
Construction north of here, and by north I mean upstairs.
Literally, big man. Yeah, big man doing some. It's just Angels bowling. That's what it is. We are here today to talk about some video games as we lead into, like I said at the top of the show, we have a kind of a shorter week with the holidays upon us, and by holiday I mean Thanksgiving. We're going to talk about High on Life, a game Alex saw. We have Warhammer, some 40k Darktide, a game we played. Little touch-ins, check base with Pentiment, and I finished God of War Ragnarok. And we'll have a spoiler-free discussion of that later on. Let's kick it off with High on Life. Let's start.
Oh, boy.
What? Come on. Give it. Okay. It's you pantomiming, smoking weed with a lighter and a bowl. Now, to my understanding, that's not how people really smoke weed anymore.
You're right. It's a lot of edibles and vapes these days.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Are you a bowl guy? How you seem like?
I was a bowl and bong guy growing up, absolutely.
Okay, I could see.
But I had like a little like ceramic one hitter that I used to carry around with me as well.
Oh, did it look like a cigarette, like a little cigarette, the one hitter?
No, I mean, it looked like a weed pipe, but it was just kind of, I knew a guy who made ceramic things, and so he made this ceramic pipe and was like, gave them to all his friends. So
also, when you live in San Francisco, they just give you, it's part of the welcome package
with your driver's license.
It's part of the gift basket. Yes.
So would you like to register to the vote? And also, here's your one hitter. Do you feel like, Alex, if I were to rifle through your childhood, let's say teen room somewhere, or shoebox, or whatever thing you have stored with, like,
first of all, absolutely not.
If I were with concert tickets and whatever else in it, the memorabilia box, would I find random screens in that box?
You might find at least a couple. You would probably also find some very dried out shake at the bottom of that bag as well that had been there for some time.
And what is the oldest weed you would smoke?
Oh, gross.
I mean, I have smoked weed that is months old, but it is kept in an air-sealed jar, so it's generally pretty, like, it stays pretty good for a while.
Can you, like, rehydrate weed?
Yeah, shouldn't.
Okay, I don't really know. Brad, did you ever have paraphernalia in the house? Did you have screens and pipes in your childhood home?
No.
No, that did not enter the door.
You were smart enough not to do that.
Yes, definitely not.
You were never holding it for a friend, let's say. Okay.
I only got caught once, ever, with paraphernalia on me, and it was post-divorce, and my mom was definitely more lenient on that stuff than my dad was, and she was just like, do a better job of hiding this.
I just don't want to see it.
I don't need to know about it.
Yeah.
Just, be responsible, for God's sakes.
Okay. You're going to have to just keep it hidden. Keep it safe.
I don't need to know about this.
All right. Great intro to High on Life, a video game that is supposed to be coming out in, let's say, a month-ish, under a month, December 13th.
Oh, that is soon.
That is
it's
very
out very soon.
On the Xbox and the PC, Alex, you got to see someone play it. Is that right?
Yes,
Demo?
we were invited. Well, I played it.
You played it. Okay.
Yeah, so I was invited to a come check out this game event.
Hands-on
in Manhattan, and I said to myself, I have talked reams of shit about this game in the various promotions they have done for it. If you don't know, this is the new game from the Justin Roiland studio, Squanch Games. Squanch. And the trailers they have put out for it have been, I'm just going to charitably call them deeply obnoxious.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Well,
yes.
I say this as someone who enjoys the majority of Rick and Morty. Like, I am not a Rick and Morty hater. Other Justin Roiland stuff, I'm a little more hit or miss on, but I don't have any real particular dislike of that style of humor. Mm-hmm. But the stuff they showed in that trailer seemed deeply annoying to me, and not presented in a way that made me think this is going to be funny.
Okay. I'm sure you're gonna say this, but I want to say it first. Because I also enjoy Rick and Morty. The content of it, the weird fan base does his own thing, but
that's a totally different conversation.
No, I feel like in our circles, and by our circles I mean all the fine people listening to this, the people who support us, everybody knows that a chatty video game is not gonna, for hours and hours, is going to wear thin, right? So if something chatting at you constantly, but if you're the studio cutting trailers or the people cutting trailers, you want to show off Justin Roiland and these talking guns every second, because that's like a big thing in your shooter. These talking guns. So when you show straight back to back to back, just the thing talking at you all the time is like, oh my gosh, is this going to be him talking at me constantly? I cannot do that. Tell me I'm wrong, please.
We were not completely correct about that.
Okay,
I will say that this is a game that definitely delivers a lot of jokes, but it is not a non-stop bombardment the way it may have seemed in the promotional materials.
That is good to hear. Okay.
Yes.
And what I suspected also, but good to hear.
And this is why I wanted to see the game, because I've talked shit about the promotional stuff. It did not look good to me, but I wanted to actually put hands to controller / keyboard and mouse and say that I know exactly what this thing is, instead of just like looking at it from afar. And let me tell you what it is.
Okay.
It seems like a pretty decent first-person shooter that has a lot of that style of joke in it.
Okay, but the guns aren't constant. There's also not just Justin Roiland, there's plenty of other people.
And that's one of the mistakes I think they made, is that they have not really shown the other guns very much with the other voices.
There are other guns?
Yes.
Oh, they've shown some of it. They've shown some
Not
of
a lot, though.
Yeah, not a lot.
They've really focused in on the Justin Roiland stuff.
Oh, I thought it was just the one gun.
Yeah, no, there's I think they said there's at least 5 or 6 main guns that have voices.
That helps.
Who else is doing stuff, do you know?
Oh, yeah.
Well, so I don't remember all the names they rattled off. There's a lot of voice actors in this game, and not all of them voice guns. Some of them are just other main characters. Like Tom Kenny has a character in there of SpongeBob fame and Mr. Show. Mm-hmm. But the gun that they were showing off in the demo that I played, the Roiland gun was there too. That's like the first one you get. The second one was JB Smoove from Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's Leon.
I had to, so I didn't know enough Curb. I looked up and said, oh, I know this actor.
Yeah, yes. You know this guy. You've heard him.
Yeah.
And his gun is chatty, but it is a very different delivery. It is not just that, oh, geez, oh, God, I guess we're doing, oh, fuck, I can't believe you just shot that guy. Oh, God, that's terrible. Oh, jeez. Fuck, man, I guess we're just doing this now. We're just killing people. That's the thing you're doing now. It's not that.
Man, that's pretty spot on. Maybe not in the pitch perfect way, but in the delivery.
It's hard to do that pitch.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that when you were playing with a Roiland gun, it is that delivery of dialogue, but JB Smoove is doing his style of delivery, and like one of the other actors that was mentioned, though I don't think I saw any of her stuff, was Maria Bamford, an actress and comedian that I adore. Like, she's very, very funny and does some really good voices, so it seems like they got a cast together for this thing. It is not just the Justin Roiland show.
Wait, hang on. Did they really put the Red Letter Media guys in this?
I would believe that.
They totally did. Mike Stoklasa and Rich Evans are both in the voice cast. Are they guns?
That makes sense.
Sure, why not?
And so the section that we were playing was... So the premise of the game is that, and it's very in the Rick and Morty / Solar Opposites vein of there's alien sci-fi shit happening, but the idea is that a alien drug cartel has descended upon Earth and is kidnapping humans because it turns out humans are the most potent drug in the universe.
Yeah, man.
And all the aliens want to smoke the humans.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And so you are, like, essentially tasked with trying to stop this cartel. And the gun, the Roiland gun you get first, I think, is the one that kind of clues you in on what's going on and starts guiding you through what's taking place. So the demo I was playing was a little further in after you'd already kind of gotten past that setup. And that's when you get the JB Smoove gun. And it was on an alien world where there is this, contingent of alien mercenary soldier types that I think work for the cartel. And they all get drenched in this armor goop. And they have to, the guy who runs their organization is a straight up sadist. And just like jokes about how he's going to get all of you killed, or just, he's going to torture people nonstop. So, that's where it's going. And it was a pretty sizable chunk of that level that I got to play. There's some open world areas that you can kind of mess around in and look for side quests, but it seems like each planet is its own distinct level, and you are progressing to like a boss fight at the end of it.
Why does the gun talk? Are they other aliens?
They don't.
We didn't get that?
I didn't get the explanation for why the guns talk. It's just they do.
Okay.
As far as I know, they just do. So
how is the gun dialogue triggered? Like, does it seem like any of it is dynamic based on what you're doing at the moment, or is it much more like you crossed a story barrier and it's going to talk to you to fill in some story, or both?
I mean, so the gun essentially acts as the voice for your character, because your character, as far as I can tell, does not talk. It is a silent protagonist, but then all the sort of like second person narration is being done by these guns. There is a little bit of dynamism to that stuff, because there was one, I don't want to spoil what actually happens, but there's a bit in the demo that I played where if you have one gun out, he just kind of talks through whatever this character is telling you to do and just kind of goes along with it. But I didn't see this, but apparently if I use the other gun, he gets more suspicious of what this person is saying and kind of gives you an indication that maybe you should do something differently that might lead to a slightly different outcome.
Oh, I didn't even consider the possibility that you could switch guns at will. I assumed
yes,
that because they have to write and record a ton of dialogue for each gun, I assumed it was like, oh, well, on this level you're using this gun because we didn't want to write 5 sets of dialogue for this area. But that's interesting.
So you have like party members, basically, like your guns.
Yes.
Okay.
But they only talk if you have them out.
Of course.
And if they're talking and you switch guns, you hear them in a more muffled way when they get switched back out and they finish their sentence, but then they don't talk until you bring them back out.
All right. You're kind of slowly selling me on this. I was not sure I was in for this, but I think I might actually give this a shot.
I will say like about 50% of the jokes hit for me, and the other 50% mostly were not bad. I didn't laugh. I just kind of went, huh.
I'd say that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I remember really having low expectations for the first South Park game. And actually really enjoying
first South Park game. The first one that anyone actually liked, yes.
You mean the Ubisoft RPG one?
Was that the Stick of Truth?
Stick of Truth was the first one.
Okay, yeah. And I was like, okay. Because, like we've said it a bunch, comedy in games is tough.
Yes.
It's super hard, delivery super hard. But I think they did themselves no favors by showing a bunch of people who have spent lifetimes playing video games, a super chatty sidekick that will never stop talking in the brief moments they showed of the game. You know,
Yes.
like I get it. You don't want to show just dead air. Also, the other thing they showed that did them no favors was that boss fight that time against some kind of mantis, which, you know,
that was a poor choice to show.
Uninspired, yeah.
The boss fight I ended up doing seemed a little more interesting and involved. I will say the game is actually reasonably challenging. It's not like I was playing on what they called their default difficulty, and like the boss fight kicked my ass a few times before I finally beat it, and there are some tough fights in there. The mechanics are not particularly deep or inventive. Like, it is a first-person shooter and not a, you know, super technical one. Mm-hmm. But like the shooting feels fine. There's the enemy AI seemed a little suspect in places, but generally speaking, the encounters felt like they were engaging. And I think, look, the thing I will still say is that if you don't like that style of humor, if you are not into the Rick and Morty thing or any version of that, this is not going to work for you, because even when it's not Roiland, it's still that style of humor. And so I think it's still going to be grating to you no matter what. I'm just saying that for people who are at least interested in that sort of thing, this seems better than what they had showed in trailers and promos.
Do both of you share with me this unfair reaction to media, especially games, let's say games, when they say our game is funny, and you're immediately like, oh boy, I am no longer coming at this objectively. You've tainted the well.
It's not that I have an immediate, like, you know, revulsion or like immediate, like, I don't trust you response to that. But the thing is, the number of developers that have said that have been wrong versus the number of ones that have been right, there is a distinct imbalance there.
God, like, you mean literally say those words?
Self-proclaimed funny.
This is a comedy.
I'm trying to... Okay, that I guess I could envision somebody actually saying a little more, like the audacity to say, "Hey, the thing I made is funny." It's like, I don't get to say that.
Like, you know, like in a tagline being like a hilarious romp through whatever.
Okay, sure.
Yes,
sure.
Like, I feel like as soon as you go out of your way to say this is supposed to make you laugh, I, again, not fairly, am ready to fold my arms and be like, oh yeah, funny guy, make me laugh.
Fucking prove it.
Yeah. Go ahead, make me laugh. Versus something like, I don't know, like a jazz punk or something that you're like, just play the game.
Yeah.
Just go in. It's weird. You can say it's weird, and if it's funny, I'll be like, okay. But as soon as you say like it's a hilarious romp, then I'll be the judge of that. Which I don't know. It's not fair, but I don't know if anybody else has that reaction.
I don't know. I generally feel like less is rarely not more. Less is usually more.
Less is usually more. Yeah.
Yes.
There are only rare. That's what like there are only rare exceptions where like you really need to go over the top and proclaim stuff like this. Like, let people figure it out for themselves. You know. Like,
yeah.
Like if it's actually funny, people will laugh, and you don't have to tell them that. You know. And it's always nicer to be surprised than to set up expectations.
No, man, there's nothing funnier than being told that was a punchline. That's the funniest thing of all.
Yeah. I'm not even saying that High on Life is going out of its way to say it's funny explicitly, but it just occurred to me.
It's clear from the pedigree and from the way they're promoting it. Like, they're saying, this is the new Justin Roiland thing. Check this out. And again, there is definitely a significant portion of people who find his thing grating and not funny.
Yeah. High on Life,
it's an interesting premise. Like, now that you've laid it out, and I know that there's like, you can kind of choose which gun you want to listen to and some stuff like that. Like that, it actually, maybe ambitious isn't the right word, but there's a hook there.
Yes,
there's something unique. There's something unique about it that kind of makes me want to see it for myself now.
I've always suspected that this game just is one of those ones that's not showing well for various reasons. But it remains to be seen. Maybe when we get our hands on it in like 3 weeks, we'll have a better take on it. Is this a Game Pass joint?
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
I want to say it is.
That might be true.
It's not coming out on PlayStation. I just checked. It's only PC and Xbox.
Yeah.
Initially.
I thought this might be a Game Pass thing.
I believe that's the case.
It's pretty late in the year. It's like I said,
it got pushed at least once.
Yeah.
And they said they had about a month of bug, fixing left to do on it.
Okay.
So it seems like they're thinking they're going to hit their target at this point. But
I hope so.
Who knows? It's 2022. Anything can get delayed anytime.
Yes, it is. It is a Game Pass game.
Okay. Quote unquote, they have to print that disc, gold on a disc. They're still making discs of most games, I assume, right? You can buy physical copies of most games. Of all games?
Definitely.
Not most.
There's definitely a ton that are just digital now. Like $60 or $70 games now. Like, generally.
Like AAA stuff, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I bet there's no physical version of Pentiment, for instance.
Highly doubt it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. I don't know what I'm thinking. You're totally right. These are like, a $60 game. Man, what a weird... Do we have a, Brad, you were on the store. Did you see any pre-order for High on Life? I'm wondering if this is a $60 game or if this
You can pre-order it now. It is $60.
It is $60.
Weird.
Okay.
I figured this was like a 30 to 40.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay.
That's the thing. I think there is a fair amount of game there. Like, it is not a bite-sized experience necessarily.
All right. High on Life. Check it out in a couple of weeks here on Xbox platforms and on the PC. And if you're on part of Game Pass, you can get it there as well. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk about our time with the pre-release of Warhammer 40K. Whatever version we played, we're going to talk about it in a few seconds. See you in a minute. This week's show is brought to you by Heroic Replicas and Lizard Doggo. Alex and Brad.
Yes.
Heroic Replicas and Coffee Stain Studios, the company that puts out Satisfactory, present LizardDoggo.com. It is a merch store for Satisfactory. Now, I'm a Satisfactory fan. I have a Satisfactory mug they sent to me. I also have a Satisfactory mug that I bought myself from LizardDoggo.com.
2 Satisfactory mugs?
I have 2 One Satisfactory mug was for people who have acquired, let's say, prestige status in Satisfactory. I have not, in the game Satisfactory, gotten that far, so I bought the kind of busted down mug.
You want to be authentic.
You can get the Fix-It coffee cups. You can get a Lizard Doggo plushie. You can get t-shirts. You can get keychains. You can get a full-sized machined aluminum Xeno Zapper or Xeno Basher replica. So this is Heroic Replicas deal, right? They make high-quality kind of replicas from video games, like a Master Sword, let's say, or let's say a Xeno Zapper.
Mm-hmm. You got Xenos to zap, then zip over to...
Wow.
Help me out here.
We can't add letters to the actual URL, unfortunately.
So Heroic Replicas is partnering with Coffee Stain Studios, and you can go to Lizard Doggo to get your Satisfactory merchandise. You can check out more about Heroic Replicas at heroicreplicas.com. Follow their work on Twitter, and you can support their work over at lizarddoggo.com. When you place an order there, don't forget to use the promo code Nextlander for $5 off any order over $25, or you can add a sticker pack to your order and get $15 off. If you've seen the mug I've been using, you know I haven't quite achieved my prestigious status yet, but maybe you have, and you can go get that gold-plated Fix-It mug. Thanks, Lizard Doggo, and thanks, Heroic Replicas. All right, we are back, and it's Warhammer time. It's never not Warhammer time, game release wise. But this one's a big one. It's coming out. This is Fat Shark. As the words leaving my mouth, it sounded wrong. But Fat Shark.
Makers of Vermintide.
The Warhammer kind of cooperative romp. This is a Warhammer 40K. It's like, made shorthand, but it really is Warhammer 40K version of Vermintide.
Yes.
This is Warhammer 40K Darktide in a nutshell. This is up to 4 people in a group fighting hordes of enemy, a Left 4 Dead style.
Yes.
If anybody remembers that little chestnut Left 4 Dead.
PvE with progression.
Yeah, maybe some dynamic enemy placements. I'm sure the people at Fat Shark could tell you. I'm sure if there were, they would what did the game director? Is that what they called it in Left 4 Dead?
Left 4 Dead called it, yeah.
Yeah, the game director.
The AI director or game director, something like that.
But it's very similar to that with a decent amount. Oh my gosh.
A decent amount.
this is my mouth. A decent amount of cosmetic and weapon and character upgrade.
I mean, they claim there were cosmetics in there. I haven't gotten any fucking pants yet.
Me neither.
I got a pair of pants.
Where's my pants, dude?
Or a shirt or a hat or anything, it turns out.
So before we get into the actual nuts and bolts of the gameplay, which, you know, it doesn't
There are some.
It doesn't run that deep, but there are some. This game was supposed to come out November 30th on PC and Xbox, or PC?
Yeah,
you mentioned the consoles
Xbox.
are later. Okay.
Steam and like, what are we calling it? I mean, it's PC Game Pass, but I guess you'd call it Windows Store if you bought it.
Okay.
Microsoft Store on PC.
And then the future on console.
Well, Xbox is announced. I don't believe a PlayStation release is announced or on the books as of yet, but I would assume that'll happen eventually.
So,
I did not expect to be talking about this game this week, but here we are.
Yeah, so they kind of just surprise dropped. If you pre-order the game or had pre-ordered it, you could just play what they're calling the beta of it in the lead up to the 30th release here.
Yes.
And that started on November 18th. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt on this one because the game does have a little bit of ironing out.
It is definitely a beta. It is definitely like, boy, the game seems pretty cool, to be fair. I'll say that, but also like, man, if this was the state of the game less than 2 weeks before release,
not ideal.
Like,
it could be most of the stuff we ran into was server related, but
that's a big component of this.
It's a big component of
this. No, I mean, I would go beyond that because they just put out, it's not clear if this patch is out or the notes, the news on Steam doesn't read super clearly if this new patch has come out now or if it's about to come out, but it's full of bug fixes and stuff, but they're saying stuff in here like, hey, we know the weapon stat presentation is not as clear as it should be. We're working on redesigning that. It's like,
okay,
this game, you're taking money for this and it's out and you're saying like basics about the weapon and the loot UI are subject to change. Like, that's a pretty profound change this close to release. And like, there's a ton of rebalancing stuff in here also, like basically talents or traits on every class in the game are getting some kind of significant tweak here and there. So it's still in active development, I would say.
And they are calling this a beta and a pre-release beta at that, but you're basically just buying the game. You're buying the game and getting, on the PC, you're buying the game and then getting access to the game.
Yeah, it's out. I mean, it's confusing if you look at the Steam store page because it still says like pre-order now, but if you pre-order it, then it becomes playable.
And are they still saying they retain the right to wipe progress at launch?
That language is, I guess they're probably just appending this fact to every news post right now that, one of the facts is, will progression persist between the pre-order beta and the full game on launch? And like, they basically say like, our goal is to ensure progression will carry over, but they also basically say we reserve the right to wipe progression if we make enough changes that we need to do that.
That's a toughie.
Okay, so it's a little rocky right now. I mean, we streamed it yesterday. I mean, I'm just going to cut to the chase here.
Yeah.
The missions are quite long.
Yeah.
In my experience.
Vermintide, yeah.
And we played a higher difficulty one, which was like, 40 minutes long?
The second one we played was like closing in on 40 minutes.
And got basically within literal sight of the dropship extraction point.
Yeah.
And we all like started crashing out with server errors left and right, and we were trying to get back in. And while we were trying to get back in, like the bots that they replaced us with were like getting themselves killed, and essentially we wiped due to server error within like feet of getting out of the level and got
downright heartbreaking
and lost most of the reward for finishing the mission.
I was running towards the dropship, and you guys got disconnected, and then I thought I was just going to make it. When the screen flicked, I honestly thought maybe the mission ended and I was on the ship going. But unfortunately, they also show the loading in screen as the dropship. The loading screen looks like you're starting a mission. The whole thing was unfortunate and really took the wind out of not only my sail, all of our sails for like, I mean, that's 40 minutes and you lose all that good progress.
It's not good.
It's not good. And on top of that, Brad, you had played a little bit before we even started streaming. The progression, you were saying, felt kind of slow in general for unlocks.
A little slow. Like, playing the first mission I played on the lowest difficulty got me, I think, just enough money to buy one new weapon. You have 2 slots.
Yeah.
Is that true for every class? I've only played the one class.
I have a melee and a ranged, and so
yeah, I assume every class has the same 1 melee, 1 range loadout. And generally, you get enough money after the first mission to replace one of those.
Yeah, but I should say when I say I'm playing as the Ogren. You are playing as the
I can't remember the actual name of it. It's like a zealot fanatic, religious fanatic.
Okay,
yeah.
Something Imperium Adeptus Astartes. I don't know.
Okay,
you tell me.
And I'm the Psyker.
And you are a Psyker, and then there's a Sharpshooter, which none of us had played.
It's more of like a soldier class.
And you can mix and match in the 4. It's not everybody has to pick one different one. You could add. We had 2 Ogrins, and however. But yes, I was out of the missions we played. I played, let's say, 1.5. 1 completed, 1 failed. I got a pair of pants at some point, but you guys,
God damn it,
we're still in your jumpsuits. You're starting jumpsuits.
That's correct.
They really ought to drop you some basic, because your character origin story is a prisoner. Although there's a weird amount of RPG. Not to get off subject, there's a weird amount of RPG in character creation. It's like a BioWare game on steroids, because they make you choose like 5 different background things about your character. It's like
a little Pentiment-esque.
Right. It's like, where were they born? Like, what was the defining event of their life? Like, why are they in prison? Like, what? Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know where that stuff's going to manifest or what the point of all that is in a game that's not like super story heavy. I wonder if that matters later.
I don't know. I think I saw a thing that said it might influence like your game barks or like how you kind of interact with other people.
That I could see for sure. Which is kind of a neat idea.
Because you even choose a voice for your character.
Yes. And anyway, you're a prisoner. You get broken out of prison, and so you start the game wearing the prison jumpsuit.
Yeah.
And so after several missions played, I am still just wearing the entire ass prison jumpsuit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to look cool, okay? The whole reason I play games like this is to look cool.
I get it, man.
At least drop the basic ass pants and shirt so I can just not be wearing the starting jumpsuit. That's all I ask.
Give me a pair of khakis. I don't care. Just something different.
Anyway, like, more stuff unlocks. I started to say the leveling's kind of slow. That's a little harsh, but we've still only all got access to the basic stuff because you have to hit level 8 to get the next whatever it is. They don't tell you what it is, but the next like vendor type character unlocks at level 8, and I think I'm still 3.
I'm going to say per minute played, it seems slow. Like, maybe not per mission, but per minute played. Since the missions seem so long, like if you spend 3 hours and have unlocked 2 guns and no cosmetics, I don't know. That's a lot. That's a long time.
It's a little slow. I think we would probably be singing a different tune if we had successfully finished that last mission that we bombed out of, because we did that on higher difficulty, and so you get way more currency for beating that.
Don't remind me.
Which we were almost on the verge of. That was tough. Like, it was 3 of us and 1 rando, and like
we were making it.
We made it, but it was like it was pretty rough at spots.
Oh,
like,
yeah, we almost wiped, not from a server crash, a couple of times. Like, we had everybody almost down, but we made it. We survived it.
It was fun. Like, that's the only way those types of games are fun for me, is like kind of putting it on one higher difficulty level than you should,
and like
really going for it. Because like without some struggle, the type of struggle that demands teamwork, right? Like, if everybody's just cruising through, mowing stuff down and barely thinking, I mean, if you want to use the game as just a chat room while you mindlessly blast shit, fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you really want to engage with this type of game, like, I have to like push the boundaries a little bit and force everybody to really work together and do all the stuff that's there. And I think if we had finished that and gotten all that currency and like maybe gotten some new pants, like I think we would probably be a little more bullish on it.
I'm not down on it. The technical stuff really was deflating, but
very much so.
And also, I probably would have put it down anyway until release, until they can guarantee that character progression would roll over.
Yeah,
I probably would stop playing, because even if we had gotten pants, if they're going to take those pants away or have to make a new character, it's the reason I put
my pants away.
It's the reason I put Baldur's Gate 3 down was, hey, if you're gonna rebalance a lot of these missions or retune these things, and I don't, for me personally, I don't have the time to just replay all that stuff, or to grind it up again. So I have faith they will get in there and reshuffle. Vermintide 2 felt like a very streamlined Vermintide. They expanded stuff. That game was patched and fiddled with and throughout development. We ran into a very unfortunate situation.
Yeah. I kind of calls into question their decision to start letting people play it early. Honestly, like I'm not sure. Maybe just a little more of a heads up of like, hey, this is a true beta. Like this is not 100% there.
Yeah. I feel like that's what's missing here.
Also, maybe it's telling that they straight up address in that FAQ I was talking about, like whether you can refund it.
Oh,
the last question of the FAQ is literally, will I be able to refund the game on Steam if I play the pre-order beta?
What do they say?
They say yes. We believe you will have the ability to refund with the same rules applying.
Oh, but not up to like, can you play 100 hours and then be like, I have 0 at purchase?
Yeah, I don't think you could like play the beta for like nonstop and then refund it on release day.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. We've kind of like buried the lead about the game itself. Like it seems cool.
Yeah, it's a good team-based, shooter.
The first couple missions that I've played were pretty just, well, there are different mission types. Like there was an assassination one that's literally just shoot a bunch of shit until you get to the end and then shoot the boss a bunch.
Right.
God, what was the other one we did? I can't remember.
We did the investigation one, which was...
that was the last one. The one before that, I forget.
There was a Raid, I think it was. Yeah,
Raid,
which
I think
also
was just
shoot everything.
Raid!
Except they're going to spawn like fucking like endless stuff on you.
Yeah.
That investigation, though, the last mission we did actually was pretty cool. Because the music was amazing. Like, what the fuck is up with 40K? Like, you were following what do they call it? A techno skull?
Is it a servitor or was it a
servo skull?
Servo skull?
I think that's correct.
There's like a blue glowing skull with like metal shit hanging out of it, flying around.
Like a drone.
That is the description of 40K. Yes.
Scanning the environment. Anyway, they would give you a weird looking like gothic PKE meter. At some point, and you had to go around scanning stuff yourself.
While Jesper Kid is playing in the
dude, the music was so good
synths,
in that level,
man. Holy shit.
And that level also just looked a lot cooler than the first two. Like it's very drab industrial stuff. This one had like a lot more like really cool looking lighting and stuff.
I mean, to be clear, it's all very industrial. Just that definitely changed things up a little bit.
I mean, is there more in 40K? There's got to be some like gleaming like Imperial Capital somewhere that's like all marble columns and shit.
It's pretty gothic.
Is it all?
It's pretty
all grim.
I mean, listen, I am no 40K. It is the grim, dark future. Tagline. It's pretty gothic. I mean, you saw the ships. The ships are literally gothic cathedrals flying through space. I mean, there are different types of environments I've read about in the, but it's a lot of it's this is the fall. This is the dark period, right? So a lot of it's in ruins.
Are there time periods?
Yeah. So like 30K is a little bit before the fall, and we've been in war. The universe has been at war for like 10,000 years now. So
was 30K a brand that they sold stuff under?
30K is where the Horus Heresy stuff. I don't know if I'm getting this wrong. I very much apologize, but it is basically
don't ever apologize to a Warhammer.
It's fan. The prequel to. I don't know if they have written books in the 30K period, but I don't know if they've set too much there.
Okay, searching, it doesn't look like 30K is like a brand. It looks like maybe Horus Heresy is the thing they marketed all that stuff under.
So I really like Horus Heresy. So Horus Heresy is the kickoff of the things that lead you to the 40K.
I love how freely you're just managing to say Horus Heresy over and over again.
Was the Imperium? Is that that's the Empire, right?
I'll go with that. Sure, yeah.
Were they like morally respectable before the fall?
I mean, it depends what your morals are here. Like,
aren't they like sacrificing like 10,000 people a day to keep the Emperor alive?
So that's 40K.
Like that?
So 30K was basically the Emperor had said, we are okay. Again, apologies. This is my rough and tumble.
Stop apologizing.
Okay, so 30K was the Emperor was trying to unite the galaxy and purge out religion. And then it was like science based. Here we go. We're going to purge out religion. By that means we're gonna go send out my armies and squash all these planets that have their backwards ways, right? And they're gonna go spread enlightenment throughout the galaxy. He sent out his clones, his generals to go do it, and he retired back home. Things went rotten. Chaos made its way in. Sometime in there, and they haven't even gotten this in Horus Heresy. He is betrayed by Horus, who mortally wounds the God Emperor, and then the God Emperor, or the remains of the God Emperor, sit on the throne in the city, feasting off of the 10,000s. The keeping without the God Emperor, as my understanding, you cannot navigate the perils of space because it is basically his will that keeps the lanes of space travel open, and going through space and the traveling through rifts is like maddening, and it's horrible, and chaos lives in the space between space, and it's a little like elder goddish, like
okay.
If you look away in the periphery, all the monsters are right, and that's the psychers and all this stuff is basically borderline madness, and so.
Yeah, the Psychers seem like they're having a bad time in several different ways.
Nobody's really having a good time. So they, in that, the interesting part to me of that 30K, 40K thing, in that is where that transition is where they really reverted into hyper religion, right? They kind of fetishize and deified the God Emperor, and my understanding was he was going to stamp out. That's the God Emperor. We should also say is like immortal and was. I think they allude to was Jesus at some point, and all these other historical figures.
All right.
Has tried throughout history to unite mankind, and it just hasn't worked out.
Now this is getting interesting.
And so that's now everything is falling apart, and this is where they're like rubbing blood on machines to keep. They worship the machines, and they this, that, and the other thing. But the God Emperor can't talk or speak or communicate. But there are priests, and that kind of. I don't know, the whole thing.
It's 40K, a whole thing is what I'm getting here.
I will not get into 40K. I will not get into 40K. I will not get into 40K.
So 40K for me, I mean, listen, you got a lot of space fascism going on in 40K too. So like there's a lot of weird stuff happening in there. 40K for me is at its best when it doesn't acknowledge in-game how seriously everybody in-game is taking all of this nonsense, but the player is aware how ridiculous it all is.
Okay. That helps put things in, that helps frame things a little more understandably.
Yeah.
Because even just playing this game, I'm like, I kind of see why people are into this, but also it all seems a little exhausting.
It's definitely exhausting, and everything's so weird, and everybody takes it deathly seriously in-game.
Right. I'm getting that.
The Inquisition, all these people, it has to be this way. And if you question, you're dead. Everything is life and death, and you've been at war for 10,000 years. But as you take a step back as the player, you're like, what the fuck you guys wearing? What are you doing?
Again, like you said, when the first time I saw a capital ship in this, I was like, the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yes.
Your ship is a church?
Hell
but
yeah,
of course it is, right? Yeah. So, and then you got the Space Marines are their whole other thing, and they're not really a part of this. So that's also interesting because more than the Space Marine, the general conscripts are kind of, I have found more interesting than necessarily Space Marines. Space Marines get the headlines in the Warhammer stuff a lot, but from my 2 cents, one Space Marine or 4 Space Marines would tear through the stuff we're going through. They are supposed to be ridiculously overpowered. So in that Space Marine game, remember, it's one dude tearing through all of this stuff. But here you have some quote unquote normal grunts out here kind of having to mow their way through chaos and maybe not survive. So that stuff has always been a little more fun. The general conscripts, because everybody's fighting. They're all fighting. There's a lot of factions. There's chaos. There are Eldar. There are the whole Eldar. I don't forget what they're called, but there's a whole bunch of stuff. Tyranids. Yeah, the bugs, the Zerg.
Zerg. Yes.
What is the Protoss? Right, the Eldar Protoss. Yes. Yeah, there's a whole thing. Whole thing. Anyway, 40K is an interesting universe. I find there are challenges within it. They're definitely not without its problems, but like I said, I find it at its best, and I think this game is doing it where everybody in game has to take it seriously, and you get to sit and laugh and be like, "This is ridiculous."
Yeah, okay.
All of this makes more sense to me now.
Yeah. Like that guy everybody's so serious about their bolter guns, and then you get to laugh and be like, that gun shoots bullets that just explode inside people.
Dude, all the fodder enemies in this game bleed maggots.
They just bleed maggots. It's
very
chaos.
When you get in their face and shoot or slash them, they don't bleed blood.
Yes.
Maggots go flying everywhere.
It's just the dude from Nightmare Before Christmas, Sandy Claus or whatever. The what's the boogeyman? Mr. Boogie? The Boogeyman? You guys are not Nightmare Before Christmas fans.
Oh, we should have.
I haven't
crap.
seen it in a while.
You just committed to the Watchcast schedule for December. I've never seen Nightmare Before Christmas before. Maybe we should have watched that.
There's always next year, man.
That's true. That's true.
There will probably be a Christmas next year. I'm just predicting here.
Bold. I don't know. Bold. Warhammer 40k Darktide.
Yeah, it's cool. We barely even talk about the mechanics. We can just whip through it really fast. I mean, it's melee and shooter. You have a shield that's called toughness. It's not actually a shield.
Yeah.
That takes damage before,
like an overshield, not like a physical shield.
Before your health takes damage, and like that recharges when you do melee kills or when you hang out with your teammates.
With nice mechanic.
You can get corrupted, which brings your max health down. Let's see. There is suppressing fire both on you and enemies.
It's a little tough to see in the heat of battle, but yes. Yeah.
Like if you're suppressed by getting shot at a lot, your accuracy goes down. You have to like get out of the line of fire, and you can also kind of make enemies fuck off by kind of spraying at them. Yeah, there's some other stuff. There's a push, and
you get a special move for your class.
Yes, yeah, everybody's got a special move, and I think different weapon sets probably,
and different stats. I'm the Ogren, big tough, upfront person. The thing I will say, I came into this thinking it was going to be much more shooter than Vermintide. It's melee with occasional shooting.
Yes.
I feel like the melee is you kind of underestimate until you're in there. Like, this is melee a lot.
Particularly when you are getting mobbed by just a bajillion enemies, because again, melee kills recharge that toughness, which is your shield. So you kind of have to be doing that to get shield back.
I feel like, I don't know you guys, but you kind of swing. You can take down more guys in a swing with a melee, like pretty wide arcs, at least for me. I don't know if you were doing poking damage. And the shooting is like you don't want to run out of ammo in a horde like that. Like,
I have run out of ammo multiple times in this. And it's weird. It's almost like the melee is overly powerful and the guns are a little underpowered.
Yeah, or for me, it just felt like my character that I was playing, guns for bigger solo enemies, melee for the hordes. And
like guns for ranged enemies more.
Yeah, or ranged. It's a cool balance though. And it fits the archetype of the game, and the settings. I saw 3 maps, and they were kind of industrial.
It looks like Warhammer, man. Like that. It looks like exactly what you expect it to look like.
I'm hoping there's more variety later. Like, I think we're seeing early levels and early maps, like kind of early everything. And I'm hoping as you level up, you'll start seeing some different scenery and like more elaborate objectives and set pieces and stuff. But I mean, I want to play more of this. And for some reason, until you said you were going to wait for release, it hadn't even occurred to me that maybe I should hold off because they might actually wipe my character.
I will wait for release or for them to say we are not wiping characters. That's
fair.
But also losing all that progress on that. That was such a heartbreaker that until they clean it up a little more, like, I don't know.
Not cool, bro. Not cool.
I can get over that, but the wiping a character might be too much for me, especially.
Yeah, there's something there though. I want to play more of this. This is cool, and I would like to level up a bit more and see what else it's got to offer.
That's $40. It is out now, basically on PC. But maybe if you want to wait, just check it out. Keep an eye on the news coming out, the facts and stuff like that. It seems like they are updating and putting some information out there. And again, Vermintide and Vermintide 2, I think they did well by, so I will give them some benefit of the doubt here.
Also, again, Game Pass. Like, if I assume most everybody listening to this has Game Pass, like you can just play it in a couple weeks, not even 2 weeks, 8 days
for the Game Pass.
Game Pass, yeah.
Alex, let's move on to Pentiment. You played some more Pentiment?
I did. I'm now into the murder mystery part of Pentiment.
Any updates for the Pentiment?
I mean, nothing too drastic. You know, it is still very much a game about talking to a lot of people and investigating things, and you know the various scripts and art styles that they're blending together. But I will say I'm pretty damn engrossed in it. I have not been able to play as much as I wanted to between last week and this week, but I made some time for it because I just think they're doing some really interesting work with, you know, the story they're telling, the way they're presenting it. It feels like a game that should not have come out of a studio as big as Obsidian, but like it's the kind of niche thing that you could just see being a very hard pitch to anyone that is like, well, what if you actually started doing some support stuff on Halo instead? You know what I mean? But like, I think that they got to make this is great, and I'm pretty invested in what's going on in it.
Yeah, when I went to that presentation, Josh Sawyer basically said, I don't know, I don't remember how it came about, but it was a kind of Skunkworks like strike team of like a dozen people.
Right.
Like it was always conceived as like a small, just little side project off to the side. Like obviously Obsidian is still doing big stuff, but
yeah. And I mean, it definitely feels like a you know, smaller production compared to some of the other stuff that Obsidian has made, but nonetheless, I mean, there's just a lot of detail in there and a lot of character work, and all of it, I think, is pretty well done and mostly very interesting. And I don't know, like it's a game that I'm into enough that I'm genuinely thinking about trying to lug a fucking Xbox across the country. I probably won't, because that's dumb and I'm not checking a bag, but also I'm going to be sad that I probably won't pick it up again until next week.
You should, or if you're going to have a laptop, you should look into maybe streaming it.
I was thinking of bringing my Mac laptop.
You can still stream it.
Yeah,
from
you
there.
should.
Yeah.
Presumably, like a game like that would stream super well because it's like static backgrounds. Like it's going to compress well and look really good.
Would I need to have my Xbox on here?
No, I think it streams from their services.
It's from there. Okay,
streaming from their data center. Oh, you can actually, I believe. I think that is possible now to stream from your own Xbox. But
I'm not going to leave that thing running while I'm gone. No. But yeah, I can do it from their data center. Sure.
Well, even if you did that, it's in sleep. You just wake it up remotely and then turn it off when you're done.
I turn my console all the way off on that one. I don't use the sleep mode.
Did you accuse anyone yet?
I have not accused anyone yet.
Okay, I read some stuff about that stuff. It sounds interesting.
Yeah, I'm in the mix. Like, you know, I know someone is dead. Someone has been accused. But you know, beyond that, like I've only gone a little bit further than that, and I won't say any more.
Okay.
But again, I think your character is interesting. I think the way he interacts with everyone in that town and the Abbey is, you know, really fascinating. And I love all the marginalia, you know, I love the, you know, pulling up the thing whenever there's like a new red term in the dialogue box of like, who is this person? Where is this place? What does this mean in scripture? That kind of stuff. Like, it's really exhaustive in a way that I appreciate.
Pentiment.
It's
$20. Came out last week on the 15th.
I'll say it again. I think that's a steal for that game.
Yeah. Okay. What did I say? Oh, Xbox.
That's what I'm playing.
Xbox or your PC on the Game Pass. Game Pass.
Game Pass.
The Game Pass. Yes. This is Obsidian. All right. Finally, here. I've done it. I have finished the story of God of War Ragnarok.
Ooh.
I'm I think around 70-ish hours in.
Good Lord, man.
I have mostly done everything I could do before finishing the story. There is some mop-up stuff after the story that I need to take care of. But my final thoughts are...
Yeah.
So far, again, and there's some mop-up stuff I need to do, some optional stuff. But the initial narrative thought I had and feeling I had holds true, which is I believe the first one was more interesting to me because it was a first time Kratos in this setting. There's a lot of, I'm not going to go into spoilers here, maybe another time I will, but there's a lot of character turns. There were in the first one as well that I didn't enjoy so much, but in this one there are some character turns in this that don't feel earned towards the end, that just kind of come out of nowhere. Some are very well done. Some character work is extremely well done in this game and is actually very emotionally moving. Some for more off-screen camera characters, not as well done. Some side characters but they play a big role in the story. So I was talking to somebody on the Discord. I won't call them out by name, but it brought up a good point, which is the single camera stuff, the single shot stuff. May do some disservice to some of that because you can't leave your main character to show what's happening to these other characters in ways that don't involve some trickery or, saying, oh, the camera's kind of going with this person in some weird way. So you don't get behind the scenes character work, closed door behind the scenes character work with some of these. You don't, so somebody might leave and be super angry, and the next time you see them, they're like, I love you. And you're like, wait, what? Be like, I had a change of heart. I love you. You're right. And be like, what the hell happened? I talked to some people off camera. You didn't see it. So there's some of that in the end where some threads you feel like are dangling as you're going through just kind of tie up at the end. And you're like, wait, you guys are all cool? Okay. This seems like it would be a bigger deal. What's happening here?
Kind of gloss it over.
Yeah. If you're cool, we're cool. High five. I don't think it ends in there's a satisfying end to it, but I don't think it ends in a way that I thought it was going to end moving into the next chapter.
So, I mean, that's the $1 million question. Like, does it seem like it's a sequel, it's a video game sequel, so of course the answer to this is yes, but does it feel like there will be a next chapter?
Well,
like, does it leave things unaddressed? Does it leave?
So if I didn't know that this is the end of the Norse mythology stuff, if they hadn't explicitly said that, I wouldn't necessarily say it has to be at the end of this. There are obviously things I'm not saying that happen in the game, which you could be like, well, how do they move forward? But it's not explicit that the story is not just going to jump to somewhere else. It's not explicitly made clear there. And again, without going into spoilers, I don't want to go too much into what happens in the story, but I thought there might be. I like it. I like it a lot. I like the game a lot. I warmed up to the combat. I got in my groove. I upgraded enough stuff. I got used to the systems they had here, which are similar, just additive to the other systems. It's just a lot up front. I got used to it. I found my build that I wanted. I really enjoyed the combat puzzles and basically closed arena combat. I liked a lot more than the random encounters that you'd have playing the game. I really dislike the travel in this game. It's hitting me maybe more than God of War did. 2018, is that what the
yes,
one
the
was?
2018 one.
They need a better fast travel system. They had I feel like they have opportunities to just narratively get those in place, and I don't know if technical problems exist for that, but it's really cumbersome to have to go to those gates to travel to another gate and then wander 20 minutes in the wrong direction and then have to wander 20 minutes back to get to the gate to go somewhere else or something. Like when you're collectible hunting, if I have to go from a gate, I want to wander 20 minutes and be like, oh, this is not the right spot, and just fast travel back to that gate. And I think there are narrative explanations for how that could work. You're in a thing with gods and stuff. Just give me a trinket that allows you won't break your camera stuff. It's fine. We'll be okay.
You can do it.
Again, technical reasons, I don't know. Maybe they can't load fast enough to do fast travel in the background, but that to me is a bummer. The boss fights are generally learn the patterns of the boss and get moving, but what game isn't really? There's Odin's banging on your ceiling. I hear it. He wants
Mjolnir is hitting your floor.
Rip the ceiling off of this place.
The main characters are great. I don't want to. I'm not going to spend too long here, but I think the main characters that you see, that you start off with, and they introduce throughout the game, it's great. I love them. I had a lot of fun with them. Some of the minor characters, again, people probably know who I'm talking about if you've beaten the game. Some of the story stuff is like, you're okay. Okay, cool. It's sad. It's emotional. It's well done. It doesn't feel too hacky or hammy in the emotions they're trying to go for most of the time. Some of it's a little cloying. Surprise! It's a very emotional tale about Kratos and Atreus, who is it's like this is no surprise. can Kratos manage his love for his son and the responsibilities to a realm kind of thing, right?
Can Kratos be a good dad and also fucking murder gods with non-fucking stuff?
Yeah, or like even like do you want your kids to do better but when you're the god of war? Like it's a lot of that stuff. So thumbs up. I really like it. I think I still like the first one better. There's just not much that's gonna beat seeing the giant world serpent for the first time,
right?
In the first game,
and also seeing Kratos in a different context.
Yeah, like that's really what it is about that first game that was so potent. It was just the whole concept was so novel and inventive. And again, like that sense of kind of danger at the beginning of he's clearly just like not undercover, but you know what I mean. He's kind of blending in.
He's hiding out. And
then here's this god from this other pantheon that shows up and is like, I know who you are, motherfucker.
Yeah, right,
like, you're not getting away with this. Like that shit was so cool.
It was so cool.
And you can't do that twice. And so like that's why I was asking about the ending coming into this, is like I was just kind of desperately hoping there'd be some indication that they're going to do something different, assuming they even make another one. I don't know.
I don't know. It ends in a way where I really don't know. It's not. I've not spent the time now to go through all the Reddit ending stuff and be like, what can they do? What did they hint at? What Easter eggs did they drop? Or what did somebody say halfway through the game that hints at? I didn't go through that stuff. I probably will at some point. I also have some optional stuff to mop up at the end here. So I don't know. It's but I do like this game. So I don't know where the franchise goes. Do they go full reboot in 5 years, 6 years? Do we let the God of War finally rest? They didn't do DLC for the first one. I don't know if they would for this one. I mean, honestly, like if you're not going to make a third one, do you put some time into? I don't know. But
you seem conflicted a little bit. Like I believe that you enjoyed it, but you seem a little conflicted about where it ended up.
Yeah, and that was kind of my feelings on the first one too. There were there's some character stuff that I'm still a little mad at some stuff that happened in the game, but not because the game did a bad job of it, because of some of the story stuff was upsetting. It's a bummer, some of it. So that's, but no fault, not a narrative fumble, just kind of the choices that in the story. The narrative fumble stuff is in my opinion, is more just like shoulder shrugs and question marks of like, all right. God of War Ragnarok. Boy, when did that come out? Was that earlier this month? Gosh, it
was like a couple weeks ago, man.
Yeah,
forever.
For a bit.
I'm gonna wrap it up. I think I'm in a big old hard fight now. So I always try to get the hard stuff out of the way, and I think I got one coming up.
Gotta get that first party platinum.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have like 5 trophies left. I probably know what 2 or 3 of them are. I didn't do the look up the hidden trophies yet either. So we'll see. I'm curious. I mean, it's going to be years from now before we know if they're even going to do another one and what they'll do with it. But I mean, by the time they might make another one, it'll be way into the PS5 generation, so it'll be a PS5 only game, and maybe they can do some more interesting stuff tech and design wise with it and drop it into a new setting at the same time. Who knows? Who knows? Like, who knows where they go? I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know. All right. God of War Ragnarok, double thumbs up from me. If you're a fan of the 2018 one, you'll probably like this, though I think the start of it is a little overloaded with stuff in it. I still like that one better. All right. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with some news. Stick around. This week's show is brought to you by Bespoke Post. Brad Shoemaker, Alex Navarro, Bespoke Post. We've mentioned them before here.
Just call me Bespoke Brad.
Bespoke Brad, Custom Brad, you know about the Box of Awesome. Everybody knows about the Box of Awesome. The Box of Awesome has you covered, whether your needs are camping gear essentials, travel, cocktails. They got what you need in a Box of Awesome. What is the Box of Awesome? Alex, you're making a quizzical face like you've never heard of the Box of Awesome.
I suppose I could have said the words, what is the Box of Awesome, but I let my face do the talking.
Bespoke Post partners with small businesses and emerging brands to bring you the most unique goods every month. To get started, you take a quiz at boxofawesome.com. Your answers will help them pick the right Box of Awesome for you. They release new boxes every month across a ton of different categories, and each box is valued at around $70, but you're only going to pay a fraction of that price. Plus, with each Box of Awesome, you're supporting small businesses. And I'll tell you what, Caravel is a fan of small businesses, if you hadn't heard.
Oh, I've heard that about you.
You've heard that about me. 90% of everything that comes in your Box of Awesome is from a small, up-and-coming brand. It's free to sign up, and you can skip a month or cancel anytime. How do you get in on this? Well, let me give you what they call the call to action. Get 20% off your first monthly box when you sign up at boxofawesome.com and enter the code Nextlander at checkout. That's boxofawesome.com, code Nextlander for 20% off your first box. Boxofawesome.com, code Nextlander. Thanks, Bespoke Post. All right, we are back, and it is time for the news. This one is, Brad, these stories here, you've gone and collected the news.
Free Yuji Naka.
Oh, please.
Free this
stop
man.
it. Oh, my gosh.
Free Yuji Naka? I don't know.
I don't.
Should we?
He did. It seems he did the crime, so perhaps he should do the time.
He's accused, right? So we'll see what happens. Let's just start off.
Let's sprinkle a little allegedly on top of all of this.
Yeah. What is going on with Yuji Naka these days?
Yuji Naka was arrested for insider trading. Yuji Naka, creator of Sonic the Hedgehog, to be clear, and creator of Balan Wonderworld as well.
His second crime.
Yes.
First crime was Sonic. The second one, no, I'm kidding. Sonic's fine. Stop it. Put your pens down.
There's also Knights in there somewhere. Man, this man has
so that's another crime right there.
This man has much to answer for.
Yeah.
Okay. So what has he been accused of this time?
I guess this is off the back of a couple of other Square Enix employees who were also arrested in Japan for the same crime. It's all around a mobile Dragon Quest game called Dragon Quest Tact, which is being co-developed by a third-party studio, and those Square Enix employees had bought shares of that third-party studio before this deal was announced.
Right. Insider trading.
Yes.
And then it turned out that some hours later, it came out that, oh, by the way, so did Yuji Naka. And all three of them have been arrested now. So,
correct me if I'm getting any of this wrong, please. But from what I could read, there was a total of about over $300,000 of stock in US dollars that was purchased, right?
By the other two employees.
Yeah, by the other two. And then Yuji Naka is accused of $20,000?
$20,000, yes.
Poor Yuji. He just, even in an alleged criminal activity, can't catch a break.
He's still underperformed.
That shouldn't laugh. I mean, this is a criminal activity, allegedly. Do we know what this is? This a fine or is this jail time?
I have no idea. This write up on The Verge, I guess. I mean, you already said the word alleged, so I guess we're in the clear. But the reporting has all been in Japanese, so we're relying on like translations and secondhand stuff here. But they do say Naka was allegedly aware of the deal before he bought the shares. So
okay.
Who knows? Perhaps he will be exonerated in court. We can't say. But yes, I don't know. I don't know like what the potential punishment might be for this. None of the English language reporting I've seen has gone into detail.
There was a statement from Square Enix, right, saying we're trying to patch up so we can't.
Yes.
This can't happen again.
Taken internal disciplinary actions against the suspected employees. What actions are those?
Uh-oh.
Who can say? All I'm saying is it's just very shocking to see a country actually prosecute people for financial crimes.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what that's like.
Very true.
I think the Square Enix thing also said something like you're internally you will have to disclose when you're dealing with corporate stock. Please don't get us in trouble anymore.
This is not going to go well for us if this happens again.
Just stop, please. Yeah, not a happy story.
No.
Man cannot catch a break.
It's been a rough run.
What if Yuji Naka? Okay, I don't want anybody to, commit crimes necessarily. I don't want
not these kinds of crimes.
I don't want anybody to commit a crime. But like,
all right,
if Yuji Naka did time for this alleged crime, I would like to see the game he makes based on his experiences from being inside. I mean, I don't know if Japan has white collar prisons. I don't know what Japan's criminal. I don't know what incarceration is like there, but I don't know. I don't know.
Based on his recent output, I don't know if I want to see his take on much of anything going forward. I don't know.
Maybe it's time for Yuji Naka to walk off into that good night.
Balan Wonderworld was a bit disturbing as it was.
Could you go to a prison and tell people you made Balan Wonderworld? And
look, if you want to survive in prison,
run that place.
That's not what you lead with.
Is that where you start? Is he gonna go in that hat? Like his little...
If he goes in there and says, yeah, I came up with Balan Wonderworld, they're gonna be like, dude, this motherfucker's crazy. Get out of this place.
It's hard as shit.
Like, should we again? Should you laugh? I don't know.
Look, you have to. What else can you do?
Don't insider trade.
I mean, that's the thing you cannot do. You're right.
Yeah, don't do it. All right. Well, maybe more to come as maybe yes. He will be acquitted, like you said. Maybe there's alleged charges will be. Maybe he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Buying stock.
Yeah, whoops. Accidentally hit the buy stock button.
I accidentally bought 10,000 shares in this small developer nobody's ever heard of before. That was a weird coincidence.
Weird. Oh, we're doing what now?
I just had a hunch that they were going to go on to great things.
Oh, weird. All right. Let's move on to this Ubisoft story, Brad.
You said there are some Ubisoft games coming to Steam in the near future.
Oh.
Which is the first time they have shipped a game on Steam in, 3 years, I believe.
Yeah, they've been off for a bit.
Yeah, they were putting some stuff out on Epic because Epic gives a better split, and there may have been a unique deal in place there that sweetened that pot even more. But it's pretty notable because I feel like every major publisher has gone through this exact same arc.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
And they all come crawling back. This had sailed right by me until I was reading the stuff about the Ubisoft stuff that Modern Warfare 2, the new Call of Duty, is the first Call of Duty on Steam in like 5 years. Like I had completely forgotten that they had moved all those to Battle.net because I don't keep up with Call of Duty so much anymore.
Has there been any reporting if the splits have changed on Steam's end? Or I assume
there were those changes. What was it? 3 years ago? Maybe 4 years ago?
Something like that.
I'd have to look up the terms. It's like, what is it? Over X tens of millions in revenue. The split changes. I forget. I can't remember if it's revenue or sales numbers, like units sold.
Okay.
But if you do hit a certain scale, they do adjust the split somewhat.
Okay.
These days, but yeah, like Bethesda had their launcher for years, and that thing's straight up gone now. Like they actually just transitioned everything back to Steam. In this case, like Ubisoft Connect, I think it's still called Connect as of now, right?
Mm-hmm.
That thing has changed names like 3 times. Also,
mm-hmm.
Yes, Ubisoft Connect is what their store and launcher is still called. Like that's not going anywhere as of now, as far as we know. Also, this isn't everything. This is Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Anno 1800.
Yeah.
Yes, Anno
and Roller Champions.
And Roller Champions, which I didn't know that was still going. But yeah, it's like the Bethesda stuff fell apart. Like Call of Duty is back. Even Microsoft is shipping games all over Steam these days.
Did Rockstar leave? Did they take their stuff down?
They never left.
Okay.
I kind of thought they might be heading in that direction, but like, dude, GTA Online has got to be so big on Steam at this point. They just can't, they cannot even try that. Like that would just be, that would be insane.
I mean, if anything, it would actually be more of a hindrance to the sheer amount of money they're making than anything else.
Like they're just almost certainly not going to recapture that whole audience on their own thing.
Well,
I think they seemed like they were just going the route of like giving you some extras It's like, hey, come sign up for our launcher and you'll get a free GTA here and there.
Right. Some more shock cards.
Here's this free copy of San Andreas if you come over here.
And so this is not an announcement that going forward Ubisoft games will be on Steam, but it is these 3 that are coming to Steam.
Yeah, I would assume maybe not every game right off the bat, but I would assume more Ubisoft stuff will be on Steam in the near future.
We'll see. I've got a lot of Assassin's Creeds on Steam.
When is Skull and Bones coming out? Is that the next Ubisoft game?
Oh, your computer will go into a black hole if you type
March of next year.
Yeah.
Currently.
Mm-hmm.
Like, without even thinking, I just did a sharp inhale the second you said Skull and Bones.
I think that's probably the next game on the docket for them.
Didn't that get like a delay 2 weeks ago again?
Yes, I mean, that was to the current date that you just said.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll find out soon-ish. I bet that game comes to Steam.
We'll see. But
he says incredulously.
At this point, I would say that game might not ever come out. Like that.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, assuming it launches at all. But let me see real quick what else they got.
Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Definitely coming out.
That'll be on Steam.
Let's see, Smarter and Rabbits just came out. Rocksmith Plus. Oddballers? What in the world is Oddballers?
Wait, is that like...
I mean, they always have like 1 or 2 like smaller team things kind of floating around in the background, don't they?
Are those eyeball, like those balls that had like eyeballs on them and stuff? Oh no, those were mad balls. Those are mad balls.
Those were mad balls.
Mad balls.
Oh, I think I think I remember the announcement for this. It's a kind of a dodgeball-esque multiplayer game.
Okay.
Anyway, Skull and Bones is the next like big release. So,
all right,
we'll see if that hits Steam or not.
This Bethesda stuff. The Doom stuff. This I don't like any of this.
No,
Bethesda has responded to the Mick Gordon allegations of impropriety from a couple weeks ago, and basically have been like, nuh-uh, in kind of a heavy-handed way.
Kind of heavy.
I don't know if you guys.
I saw the no tap thing. Yes.
No. I was gonna say I don't know if you kept up with the backlash to that stuff, the response. Like the entire Doom subreddit has just been like completely subsumed by this drama.
You know, I tried to go to the Doom. I got sidetracked. I was gonna go check the Reddit. It's bad.
It's just like full of people saying like I will never buy another id Software game until you fix this. Like justice for Mick. Just like,
oh man,
damn.
Pretty hardcore stuff. Anyway,
can you for folks maybe that haven't kept up, can you kind of quickly sum up the
top line
issue here?
I can't really because I barely can keep it all straight. But like the gist is that that collector's edition soundtrack was delivered in a state that the fan base considered kind of unacceptable, and id basically went and threw Mick Gordon, the composer, under the bus. And he didn't speak on it at all for like a very long time until 2 weeks ago when he came out with this 14,000 word opus.
Right. Okay.
Full of emails and all kinds of other communications, and just basically said like, yeah, they completely dicked me around and tried to pay me off to be quiet about it, and then went and blamed me in public and generally treated me like shit. It's pretty scathing stuff. Anyway, this Bethesda statement is just like, no, nah.
Like, and we stand behind,
Like, they, mischaracterized and misrepresented, quote unquote, the Bethesda parties involved, quote, with a one-sided and unjust account of an irreparable professional relationship. We unequivocally support, the people involved at id Software. Quote, we reject the distortion of the truth and selective presentation of incomplete facts in sneer quotes.
Mm-hmm.
Like the word fact in sneer quotes is just like, man.
So the thing that stood out to me in this story was they go on to say, I'm paraphrasing, but they go on to say, we have, I'll steal their sneer quotes. We have our own facts and documents that we will present in the proper venue.
I mean, that line that's like the operative line that basically comes off like a legal threat to me, almost. Yes. We stand ready with full and complete documented evidence to disclose in an appropriate venue as needed.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
by venue, do you mean a courtroom by chance?
Yeah, the other thing that was definitely the like, you want to go to court? We'll go.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Which I'm sure McGordon versus the Microsoft law team is.
Well, that's weird because, like, we're not. I would say we're not far enough into the Microsoft ownership of Bethesda for, like, the whatever Bethesda culture existed is probably still mostly intact in terms of, like, policies for dealing with the stuff and, like, et cetera, et cetera. So
you don't think it funnels up to a Microsoft lawyer?
I mean, I would think at some point somebody at Microsoft is looking at this.
And they're probably like, just settle it. What are you doing? Just settle. We don't go to court. Settle this.
A lot of the stuff he, it seemed like his biggest request to them was to take down that post that they originally put up that threw him under the bus for this whole thing. And to hear him tell it, they kept going back to what basically made it sound like they felt like they would lose face to take down something they had already said publicly, and that they just did not want to do that. So settling this, I mean, obviously you can settle with undisclosed terms,
right.
But even settling it at all is going to be some admission of some wrongdoing at some point, right?
Well, yeah, but like, I don't know. We're getting different sides of this story. I thought what I could get through of the Mick Gordon stuff seemed extremely detailed, and it was backed up by stuff that is hard to refute, because it's in somebody else's words. It is in the person he is accusing's words, right? So some of that stuff is a little tough. On the Bethesda side, they're clearly like, this is not true, and whatever, and we stand by our people, which I get. You want to stand by your people. I don't love that both sides are claiming fans are harassing them. That is obviously, but I also don't love that we're at a point now where everybody has to call out people that are getting harassed to, like, even if you are at fault, you shouldn't get harassed. But I don't like the part where, as part of your public statement, you're saying, and we've been harassed too, and fans are coming after us, and that stuff. We need to, as a society, to get past this part and just say, yes, it is understandably not okay to harass online anybody for this stuff. It's the same, not the same thing, but it's a similar thing with, like, Nintendo shouldn't have to say we won't repair your console if you're harassing us, and like, I shouldn't have to, if I think Bethesda's in the wrong here, or I shouldn't have to feel bad that your team is getting harassed. Don't harass these people. Like, you can boycott the game without personally attacking people or do with that stuff. But yeah, I don't know, that stuff. I don't like anything about this. It's like a dark tale.
It seems, I mean, if it is as he claims, then that extremely sucks for him as a professional.
Yeah.
For his career. But yeah, that statement sure does sort of read like, okay, fine, sue us. Like bring it.
So did you dip back in after this came out enough in any of those communities to see if people are, like, swaying back the other side, or
only as of about 90 seconds ago?
Okay.
I'm looking at the Doom subreddit right now, and I'm not seeing a whole lot of talk about it still.
All right.
I don't think there's anything in that Bethesda statement that really does anything to actually undercut the various receipts that Mick Gordon put out there. So
yeah, like in the public opinion, like
yes.
Like legally, I don't know what they're doing behind the scenes, but if I look at this as a fan of the Doom series, or as a fan of Bethesda, or as a fan of video games, I'm with you, Alex. I think it's like it comes off as a little gigantic company just saying, sue us.
Yeah. I mean, especially considering, like we talked about it last time, but like part of what he's claiming is that they used a bunch of his work that they didn't pay him for.
Right.
Yeah.
So like he claims to be owed a substantial amount of money.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll see where this goes. Like I said, that I'm also not to base everything on the reaction of a fan subreddit, but like the day that Bethesda statement came out, it was nothing but people just like saying like, well, fuck this company, I'm never buying one of your games again. And now I don't see a whole lot of discussion there, so who knows where this will go, if anywhere.
Yeah, if anywhere. People should get paid for their work. obviously.
Agreed.
And the people listening to this are not the people doing it, but like we got to get past this part where the reaction is to personally harass people or to go after people personally if you're a fan for stuff. Like we just that stuff just needs to obviously stop.
Yes.
Okay. And what would a Nextlander podcast be without checking in on Embracer?
Latest news from the Embracer verse. Here. This is very minor, but Dead Island 2 has been delayed again. It's only about 3 months. And they showed enough of that game recently. When was that? I forget which stream that was on. One of the press conference-y streams this year showed
it was Gamescom.
It was a Keeley thing, I'm pretty sure.
I believe it was Gamescom, yes. Like, that looked like a real video game. Like, that was clearly, okay, this game is functional and exists and will come out at some point. So, with that piece of evidence, like, this is like, whatever, okay, yes, I'm sure they needed some more time to get it over the finish line, but it's mostly notable because, damn, man. Like, it's...
How long?
They announced that game in 2014.
We've seen worse. Doesn't hold the record yet, but that's getting up there.
No, but it's also changed developers twice.
Yeah.
Remember.
It is undoubtedly a completely different thing from the thing they started out with.
Yeah, it's on its third studio, and it's been in development for 7 years, so whatever's happening with it at this point is like, But yes, I assume that will come out relatively smoothly. I'm still optimistic about that game.
Good.
I love the first Dead Island, and I know that Dying Light is the real Dead Island 2. No offense to these developers, but Dying Light 2 was like not quite there for me. It's not bad. I like that game, but I'd still like to see another take on this type of game.
We got another story here though in the Embracer verse.
Volition. Developers of Saints Row, perhaps you've heard of it.
I have.
Volition is being reorged under Gearbox.
Which is just so people know.
Which is its own entity, but within the Embracer group.
Yeah, they're all Embracer, but I mean, Volition has been part of Koch Media for quite a long time, or Play On now. Excuse me.
Thank you.
Now we can all free ourselves of the eternal argument about how to pronounce Koch. And instead, all talk about how dumb the name Play On is. It's not clear from what they said about this, which was not a ton, about what their role is going to be going forward. Like, they're being reorganized to be under whatever division is led by Gearbox now, rather than Play On.
Mm-hmm.
But... going forward, Volition will transition to become part of Gearbox, which has all the tools, including an experienced management team in the US, to create future success at Volition.
Mm-hmm.
Create future success at Volition.
Yes.
Maybe they felt like the production didn't go like as well as it should have.
Well, yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, they've said like that game actually met their financial targets. I think it's more just whatever, I'm sure. Whether it made money or not, they can recognize damage to a brand as well as anyone. Like, this did not do the Saints Row name any favors, and Saints Row is inarguably the most valuable thing that Volition had.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, even if, like, maybe they had low expectations for it to begin with, but even if it made the money they thought it would make, like, it's clear that another Saints Row is not going to happen in the current environment.
Right. They can't kick off a franchise with like that.
Yeah, and Volition is a US studio, and Play On is based in Europe, so like they're not wrong that maybe having the US studio under US management is not the worst thing. But create future success at Volition.
Mm-hmm.
Like, anytime any corporate messaging uses the term success, my skin crawls a little bit. I don't know, like, are they going to still make their own games, or are they going to support other Embracer studios now? I don't know.
Or we don't know, but we've seen corporate shakeups with big units before. Maybe they will retain some of its autonomy, but be accountable to some of the management at Gearbox in terms of, like, if Gearbox says no, they now have to listen to, or somebody in that org.
I'm just going to say that's either one of those is fairly cold comfort, because I'm just going to say right now, nothing would ever feel good to me about the idea of a thing I was working on being reorganized under current Gearbox management. Like, I don't... Like, Gearbox obviously still is a entity that makes games that make money, but that company has seemed not the most organized and maybe a little too beholden to one very showy president CEO type. And if I was being shoved underneath that company, I don't know that I would feel great about it.
Yeah,
I can see it. I mean, apparently Tiny Tina's Wonderlands overperformed expectations. So.
That's again, their games make money, and that's the thing. I'm not saying that there's no business case for it. I'm just saying that directionally, that is not where I would want to end up.
I am with you. I'm just thinking like a suit. You know, like that's the reason that they are getting a troubled studio is that they are making more money than expected, and that's all it takes.
I mean, and also, they're a studio making more money than it is expected that also makes games that are quote unquote funny.
Self-proclaimed funny.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, people like them, and that's the thing is that they are making games that are not outside the wheelhouse of what Volition has been making in the recent years.
Let me put this out there for you as maybe not. You guys might be totally right, and I'm with you. I'm not trying to play devil's advocate, but what if there are employees at Volition that are like, we worked super hard on this, and it was mismanaged from the upper parts of Volition, and we would like to have those people have oversight. Like we worked extremely hard on this. We threw ourselves into it. The upper management dropped the ball on this in terms of planning or production or whatever it was. They could use help, and I would like to still work for Volition, but there needs to be oversight there for them. Maybe that's a case, or maybe this is a slap on the wrist for everybody. I don't know, but either way, it's probably not. Volition clearly is being reprimanded is not the right word, but given oversight. Saints Row was a tough one. I don't know what the state of it is now.
They're still working on it. I mean, they've said, there's DLC coming. I think some free DLC. I don't know if that's a make good or if it was always going to be free, but there's definitely more stuff coming next year. And also, I think they still are in fixing mode. They're still trying to fix bugs and clean up interface stuff and so forth.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't enjoy the Borderlands franchise as much as some people do, but those games seem to come out in a fairly complete state, right? I don't track
They're not
them.
broken usually.
Yeah, I can't think of a Borderlands release that's had major issues.
So maybe something in there. Also, they probably have more budget. They probably have more teams. They probably have a lot more leeway in setting their release date. We're not in there. I don't know. I'm just speculating at this point.
What's up with the Borderlands movie? I thought wasn't that supposed to be out by now?
I don't know if they ever actually set a date for that, but I think it's supposed to be next year now.
Looking at the Wikipedia, you're right. There is no date, and isn't that pretty atypical for movies? Like, don't movies really usually announce their release dates right up front?
I mean, they could be doing reshoots and post-production. It's hard to say, but
we haven't gotten any more videos from the set.
It's true.
I don't know what's going on there.
They apparently showed some footage at CinemaCon this year, but none of that got released to the public, so I have no idea what's going on with that thing.
I'm sorry, CinemaCon?
Yeah.
CinemaCon.
That sounds like a fake con name.
I'm not saying it doesn't, but I am also saying that it's still a thing.
CinemaCon sounds like a place you'd go for delicious baked goods,
sure.
like a Cinnabon or something like that. I want a Cinnamon Con.
Yes, Cinnamon Con is a conference that I will happily.
Yeah, that sounds delicious to me. All right, I think that's going to do it for today's show, or at least for the news. Anybody else have any news that they want to share from the video game world? I'm sure by the time that this goes up, something else will have been embraced. Somebody else will have allegedly scammed a company, and there will be an internet disagreement happening.
I started to say, we could take a look at Elon Musk's Twitter and see if anything's going on, but I took one look at the trending topics, and in fact, I'm going to close this window.
Correct.
Do it. We should state that we are recording this on Tuesday, so if news breaks during Wednesday or Thursday, that is huge. We are not actively ignoring it. It just happened after we recorded, after the mics were turned off. Nothing I can do about that, folks. But there is something you could do, and it's support us. You can go over to patreon.com/Nextlander and find a tier there. that is right for you. They have starting at $5, all sorts of fun stuff up there. On the next tier up, the $10 tier, you can get Never Been a Better Podcast. You can get early access to the Watchcast if you want to stay right on the cutting edge of or on the phaser's edge of Star Trek.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, the phaser's edge. You like that?
Yeah,
Wait.
I like that.
Why did we name that? Why did we name the podcast The Phaser's Edge? Oh, well,
because
I guess
it's not just
more
a
than
Star Trek podcast.
Yeah, that's true. Please don't steal The Phaser's Edge. There's probably something. This is a series we can
We'll
do.
find a way to monetize that.
It sounds great. I'm sure somebody else has had to have The Phaser's Edge. Anyway, that's the kind of creative, spontaneous bebopping you can support by going over to patreon.com/Nextlander. And thanks to everybody who has supported us over the years. The S is in parentheses there. There is a tier there on the Patreon called the Mysterious Benefactor tier, and you get your name read on this here podcast, and I'm going to read those names right now. Big inhale. Starting with John Richardson, Vornak, Vinny's Giants Booga Boogas, Kelly F., James Smith, Brian Lucier, Sky Warp, John Hubbard, Sean Miller, Brad's Mid-Size Hoodoo Voodoo, Evan Cook, Mark Wilhelm, JM, Jerry Lee, Gary Pejke, Robert Fisher, John McInnes, Bunny is thankful for ellipsis, Thomas Lynn, Jad Rita, Statics, Andrew Jackson, Raz Grizz Twerky Day.
Okay.
Twerky Day, not twerky. Twerky Day.
Twerky.
Brian Murphy, Trevor and Adrian R, Kevin Villado, Randy Duax, Andrew Tiepkin, Alex Wu, It's Me JP, Matt Clements Jr., Edward Cheek, Andrew Slosky, Michael Jonathan Black, Steve Lynn, Matthew Herrig, David Campos, and Tyler Treese. Those are our mysterious benefactors for this week, and thanks again to everyone who has supported us. Again, if you're listening and want to go over to patreon.com/Nextlander, you can find a tier there and support us there as well if you'd like. I'm thankful for everyone who has listened, watched, and supported us. I really am.
Yeah. That's
going to do it for this week's show. Just a programming announcement. We will not be streaming on Thursday and Friday. I know. What are you going to do? I know, I get it. But find a way. I suggest maybe go watch some of the Extra Life stuff that we did. There's 6 hours of that. Or you can go tune into the Dark Pictures stuff we did on Friday with Abby. That was a lot of fun. You can go check that out.
We didn't even talk about that game.
We didn't talk about that game.
I wanted to hear if it was any good or not.
I enjoyed it. I think it's a fun little setup there. It's like a murder hotel.
Okay, I was gonna ask what kind of horror we were talking. Just
murder
haunted house,
hotel,
haunted hotel.
It starts maybe even a little bit more gruesome. I don't like knife horror.
It's more serial killery than Ghost, I think.
Yeah. Yes. A little more Saw than I'm used to. Maybe. In the murder hotel. I guess it's a real hotel. Somebody posted pictures and schematics of this place. So we did not get to our first in-game character death yet, but I've got some. But we had a lot of fun trying to make one of the characters seem like the biggest jerk in the world, even though they're pretty characterized as a jerk. Go check that out.
Did you see around the same time you were streaming that some confirmation dropped about their next game being in space?
No.
Oh
yeah, I'm
space
not clear.
Horror.
Like a trailer maybe went out mistakenly. I'm not sure.
So they do
the Dark Pictures Directive 8020.
So they do at the end of the game usually have the trailer for the next one. So maybe it's tacked on to the end of it.
I bet that's what it is. Somebody mined it from,
or just finished it very quickly.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It looks like it got copyright struck by Bandai Namco.
Of course.
So maybe they didn't want that out there. But yes, it seems like, dude, space horror.
Yes,
I'm all about it.
Totally.
Supermassive doing space horror sounds pretty good.
Give me that Event Horizon bullshit. I'm all about it.
I'm just glad that they keep going with this anthology. I thought they'd be done after 1 or 2, but if they're doing successful and they're doing well,
fourth one, right?
Yeah. Keep going. You're past 3. Now you got to do 6.
You're doing good.
Yeah, maybe getting a little rough in some places, but I still enjoy it.
They're not all 100% great, but they're the ones that hit pretty well.
I still enjoy them. So go check that out. The archives are up either on Twitch or on YouTube. You can go watch them there. And hopefully you're enjoying. If you're in the United States celebrating Thanksgiving, you're enjoying. If you're in Canada, hope you enjoyed your Thanksgiving. If you're not, hopefully you enjoy whatever you got going on wherever you are. Wherever you're around and wherever you are, I hope you're enjoying it. I enjoyed my
wherever
time
you
here.
are, there you are.
Enjoying it. Hope
Ideally.
Thank you, Alex Navarro. Yeah, I don't know if the turkey's enjoying it. Thank you, Alex Navarro.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad Shoemaker.
Thank you.
We'll be back next week.